All right, aloha, free radicals of all shapes, sizes, colors, denominations, orientations. Welcome back to the Radical Independent. That would be this channel. That would be me, Dave, yours truly, the guy who just decided to say, hey, you know what? I think Tulsi Gabbard might be the best candidate for president in my lifetime. Tonight, the Dog and Pony Show, the debates, the worthless, useless debates. I think DNC stands for does not count. I'm in a weird mood today after taking slings and arrows over on Twitter, defending Tulsi Gabbard and the fact that she hasn't come out with this statement on Bolivia, yet she's come out with clear statements on everything else, and other candidates have not come out with any statements. Most of the candidates running believe in the Russia hoax and the Ukraine Gate scandal and so forth that are distractions. There are so many distractions that are taking us away from the truth and from knowledge, which people need in order to make an informed decision as to who they want to vote for. Let's listen to Tulsi. This is from before the last debate. This is a really good spot she recorded, and she outlines what's going on, and it's still going on. Let's listen.
I want to thank all of you so much for your support. I need to share something with you that's very important. There are so many of you who I've had the opportunity to meet in Iowa and New Hampshire who've expressed to me how frustrated you are that the DNC and the corporate media are essentially trying to usurp your role as voters in choosing who our Democratic nominee will be. I share your concerns, and I'm sure that all of our supporters throughout the country do as well. Now, the 2016 Democratic primary election was rigged by the DNC and their partners in the corporate media against Bernie Sanders.
Okay, Tulsi Gabbard just said something that many of us know. The people who do a lot of these channels alongside me, people who are standing up on their soapboxes, preaching the progressive message and telling us what we need to know and how we need to know it and so forth. And if we don't fall in line with orthodoxy on every single issue, that we're somehow betraying the cause and we're not down with the struggle. Okay? And they spend very little time on this issue, the fact that the entire process was rigged and continues to be rigged. Okay? Now, I've got a friend that says, hey, what happens at the end of this for Tulsi Gabbard? If she knows it's rigged, Bernie Sanders supposedly knows it's rigged, but hasn't talked about that this election cycle. Bernie felt compelled to go out and campaign with Hillary Clinton last time around, and that shows how rigged everything is. You play by our rules, and then if you lose at the end, you still have to support our coronated candidate, the one that we just nominated without actual votes, without more votes, without a majority of votes. So for anybody out there saying, well, Tulsi Gabbard, she's a fringe candidate, it doesn't matter, right? She's just, this is the big thing now. She's only polling 1 to 2% nationally, even though she just had a poll in, I believe it was Ohio, that had her at 9%. Then people are coming at me, well, Bernie's only at 9.2 and Tulsi's at 9. So that poll, that's just, it's garbage. Mayor Pete, by the way, was in the lead. Be very afraid of Mayor Pete. Be very afraid of Tom Steyer. There are corporatist candidates that are lurking out there. And people who, it's something like 19% in these polls supposedly want someone else. This is the big statistic. And it's causing the establishment to throw more candidates into the mix. Deval Patrick, Mike Bloomberg. All right, they're trying anything to distract and to take votes away from what they're trying to do is say, okay, you like Tulsi Gabbard, you like Bernie Sanders. I'll even put Elizabeth Warren into this, who I really don't like. All right, but you like these candidates that lean more progressive. All right, and we're here to tell you, no. The whole this is what I mean. The whole process has a problem. The problem is they keep dictating They can't throw one or two or three or a half dozen really good candidates. You know, who are the best candidates in this race? Well, Biden, you have to accept Biden because of name ID. I'm not saying he's a good candidate, but you kind of have to accept him on that. Because, you know, he came into this with the nostalgia of the Obama years and, oh, if we can just turn the clock back to prior to when Trump was president. I heard people all over when I was working out in the world at that time, and people would come to my job and say, wouldn't it be great if Obama could just serve another term? And I said, no. And they're like, why? Because the Constitution, because I believe in the U.S. Constitution. And I got some weird looks. I'm like, well, he can just declare that null and void. I mean, this is the age we're living in. So anyway, going back to the Obama nostalgia for Joe Biden, it's there. And then, of course, you've got other candidates who I believe are, you know, they're top tier, at least for now. Warren, Sanders. I put Tulsi in there because she's up and coming. She's gaining momentum, and that's important. Those lower tier candidates, most of them, like Julian Castro, they're not gaining any momentum. They're just hanging around at 1 or 2%, hanging around, and they need to drop out. Kamala Harris going the wrong direction. I think she should be done soon. Cory Booker, same thing. But yet you keep seeing all these establishment candidates on the stage. There's really only 4 or 5 candidates that should be on the stage right now. Now, I understand that the DNC set all these goals, and then you have people pushing back, like Marianne Williamson thinks that everybody should be on the stage. I don't know. If I just say, hey, I'm Dave and I'm running, and that doesn't, I don't deserve to be on the stage. I need to have an organization. I need to have some donors. It's hard to set parameters here, okay? But it's the process that people should be more concerned about than anything. How the media essentially says, these are the people we want you to focus on as Americans. You focus on this group. You may like this other candidate over here, but we're not going to cover that candidate. We're not going to talk about that candidate. And this is this subliminal, but actually it's not really subliminal. It's very much in line with the best propaganda that money can buy. And the money, where's the money? In the advertisers, right? And who advertises on CNN during the debates? It's going to be drug companies, banks, you know, big pharma, you know, healthcare conglomerates, Clarion Health, you'll see that. Last night, me and my wife were watching a show. You know who was advertising during the show? Tom Steyer. Yeah, Tom Steyer, the guy who I am still afraid of, who's yet another fallback corporatist candidate. And man, his commercials are good. You'd think he'd be like Bernie Sanders, the way he would govern, you know, corporations. The guy who basically was a hedge fund, you know, tycoon, and still is, by the way. And he's railing against corporations. Okay, I believe you, Tom. The whole thing to me it seems still very rigged. And it's the giant elephant in the room. You could drive your car into that elephant. You couldn't get around it. It's there. It's not going anywhere. And this is the big $64,000 problem or question. What happens at the end of all this when the rigging is complete? Because it will be complete. And there's a probability, I know people want me to be optimistic here, there's a probability that Tulsi Gabbard gets nowhere near the nomination. And it's not because of Tulsi Gabbard. First of all, the DNC doesn't align with Tulsi Gabbard. All right, she's an independent candidate. After seeing what Trump did in the Republican Party, you would think that they would be all in on their version of Trump, but a much better human being, like times 1,000. Okay, you would think, wow, we found our candidate. Nope. The party is controlled by Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Hillary Clinton and all the people who basically want to be neoliberal and they want to get along with the neoconservatives and so forth. And they believe that those are the types of people that are just going to vote in droves just to defeat Donald Trump. And I'd like to say that that isn't true, but it could be true. That could be true. I mean, I was debating with somebody on Twitter who was almost like a deep state mole. I went over to his profile, and it's all this stuff about impeachment and how awesome it is, and which witness is going to drop this bombshell and that bombshell. In the meantime, people in Flint, Michigan still don't have clean water. In the meantime, there are at least 30 million people not insured or underinsured when it comes to health care in this country. And those are the issues we should be talking about. And I, someone with somewhat conservative enzymes, empathize with those people that need that help. And Tulsi Gabbard is the perfect candidate to deliver on all these issues. Now, if you think I'm in a cult or something, you don't have to watch the channel. I'm enthusiastic about Tulsi, and I'm going to continue to do it right up until the convention, and probably even after that. But what Tulsi raises in this video is still true. It's still true. It hasn't changed. It's in fact, I think it's gotten worse.
In this 2020 election, the DNC and the corporate media are rigging the election again, but this time it's against the American people in the early voting states of Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada. They're attempting to replace the roles of voters in the early states using polling and other arbitrary methods, which are not transparent or democratic, and they're holding so-called debates, which really are not debates at all, but rather commercialized reality television meant to entertain rather than to inform or enlighten.
Okay, so you see where this all goes. It's part of the entertainment culture. It's part of how can we get ratings. Tulsi Gabbard right now might be more of a lightning rod for these debates because of her dust-up with Hillary Clinton. There might be some questions tonight that are designed to take her off her game, to intimidate her, to say, hey, you know what? You shouldn't have gone after the queen. You went after the queen, and now, you know, we're going to have to take you out. We're going to have to basically set you up to fail tonight and throw questions at you where we're going to get you off your game. We're going to make you off balance, put you on the defensive. Look, if anybody can withstand it, it's Tulsi Gabbard. But the problem is, I just don't see a way around this BS. I just don't see it. I mean, we can all be optimistic and say, hey, let the process play itself out. And then we can all, talk about reform and do something about it, or vote third party. And that's based on what's out there for third party stuff right now. It's a weak option. It's weak unless Jesse Ventura decides he wants to run for president. It just doesn't have any impetus. But if it's a corporatist against Trump, it's going to be a perfect opportunity for someone to jump in. We know Tulsi has pledged not to do that, and I believe she won't do that. I agree with what Tulsi has said in this video. And I think we all need to have a reality check after the debate. Tulsi Gabbard could wipe the floor tonight with a number of different people. I'm hoping it's Mayor Pete. I think Elizabeth Warren, her time is up again. She had kind of a weak debate last time, which shows that the debates do have impact, because here's what the media does. If you do well at a debate, they're going to keep covering you and covering you. Notice they didn't really cover Elizabeth Warren too much after that debate. Bernie Sanders had a very good debate. And again, because the media doesn't like Bernie, they're not going to cover Bernie. Okay? Mayor Pete is the other guy who they kept saying had a great debate. Yet I think, again, Tulsi Gabbard kind of wiped the floor with Mayor Pete. But see, they all believe in this stuff. They all believe in the military-industrial complex, our role in the world, yada, 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 more military bases, more spending, full speed ahead, everybody's a dictator, we need to take them all out, we need to put our imprint on the world over in countries that either don't like us or don't want us there. And this is what our government has devolved into. So Tulsi Gabbard, she's not just up against the media, folks. And we know this. I'm not bringing anything new to the table here today. I'm just telling you that if things go south, it isn't her fault. She, despite all of this, she she hit a poll at 9% in Iowa. And it's November, okay? And we still got time for those numbers to go up. I don't see how they're going to go down. I mean, unless they try to hit her with some kind of bombshell, which this is the next thing. There's going to be a story that comes along eventually. And this is my wrap-up of this video. And a theory that I don't want to put out there because I really don't want to give anybody any ideas. All right, the Hillary Clinton thing was like putting the toes in the water. She's a Russian asset. I'm getting people that are sending me things like, oh, the person that she spoke with was an insider who is liked by Putin and so forth. They're going to try to throw a story out there that connects dots. It's much like what they're doing to Trump right now. The same thing. It's going to be either guilt by association, but it's going to have a more, I guess, plausible stepping stone to that source. This is my prediction. Or they're going to do that, or they're just going to manufacture something. They're going to pretend it's like, oh, we're going to get the Tulsi dossier. You know, she says, this is the big thing, she says she's for peace and for ending regime change wars, but we're going to point out all the times when Tulsi Gabbard was supposedly a warmonger when it came to terrorism. And we're going to show that her whole premise, or what her campaign is built on, is nothing but a house of cards, and we're going to tear it down. And you're going to have all your major news outlets in on it, and they're going to repeat it and report it. Because you know what? Even the Bernie people, they just want to get over Tulsi Gabbard. They want to get on with their lives. The longer she stays around, the bigger the thorn in their side, the more pain she inflicts on their narratives and the establishment way of thinking and doing things. The longer she stays around with this aloha, the more they're going to have to deal with it, and it's going to take away from their messages. And this is why, again, I can't see how she's not going to get hit, and hit hard, either at this debate or in the very near future. If she continues to hang around, these people are not going to have it. So this is how and why her message of rigging is so crucial. And the fact that we are mostly ignoring it, we are basically doing, you know, that old adage about doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We are insane. We are all insane because we just, and rather than make plans to have alternate means to get to the White House, meaning either a third party or a new media that reports exclusively on these issues and just stops talking about the food fight over on TYT. And I do it too, because I get tired of people over there, or anywhere else for that matter, just doing stuff for clicks. You know, hey man, did you see that video by so-and-so? Somebody sent me a message yesterday. I'm like, yeah, I gotta stop. I gotta stop watching this crap because it's distracting. We need health care. We need, a clean environment. You know, we need to fight climate change. We need all of these issues that we're going to talk about. We need a living wage for people. I think we need a secure border. Okay, I know that's controversial these days, but these are a mix of issues that I think most Americans in the majority agree with. We need less political correctness. We need people who don't believe in banning or canceling other individuals because they don't think the way they think. So those are big issues to me, and I'll keep supporting Tulsi Gabbard. But again, there's a brick wall, and they're going to construct that wall without the help of Donald Trump. They're going to do it themselves, and it's coming. I don't know when it's coming, but we're in November, and I don't know how long they're going to let her hang around. They're going to do something good. They're going to make something up. There's going to be a manufactured scandal, something, and then what's good about Tulsi is she'll defend it, but it's going to make everything off balance, and it's going to take her off message. And again, this is how things get manipulated, and this is how the rigging is very sophisticated. It's not just, shadow banning and throttling and so forth. That's what they do to me. They do this to this account. They say, a lot of videos this guy's making are getting a lot of views. Maybe we can not suggest him, This is why Rockfin is such a cool platform, because they allow me to be me, and they'll promote the video rather than try to hide it somewhere. So there you have it, folks. Will I be watching tonight? Don't know. I might. I might watch it. Because, again, it's like looking at the car wreck. You're rubbernecking and you want to see what just happened. And I'm hoping that Tulsi at least is able to articulate her views on issues and not have to fend off ridiculous accusations about her character, which she is the last person on that stage that needs, a character evaluation. All right? So there you go. I'm done. Aloha. Don't forget to support me and the channel. PayPal, Patreon, all of that. I need it. I need it every single day. See you soon.